Hi, this is B. Chiranjeev. In this video lesson, I will teach the electric charges and fields in electrostatics. See, what is actually a charge? Electric charge is the property associated with a body or a particle due to which it is able to produce as well as experience the electric and magnetic effects. So, a charge is said to be it is associated with a body or any particle. It has to display the property of electricity and magnetism. And also, when it is placed in an electric field or when it is placed in magnetic field, it will also be influenced by this type of electric and magnetic effects. So now let us see what is actually static electricity or electrostatics. Electrostatics. This is related to the study of the charge when it is at rest. If the charge is in motion, we call it as current electricity. So, when the charge is at rest, when the charge is at rest, we call it is as electrostatics or static electricity. And now, what is the reason for this charge? See, in general, any body in the universe, any particle in the universe, which is made up of atoms, indivisible part of atoms. See, atom is electrically neutral because the number of protons that present in the nucleus is equal to number of electrons present outside the nucleus. See, we take for example sodium. Its atomic number is 11. That means the sodium has a nucleus. In this, the number of protons are 11. And around this nucleus, the electrons revolve in different orbits. So these electrons are 11. So the charge of electron is equal to minus 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19 coulombs. So the charge of proton is equal to plus 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19 coulombs. So what happened now? There are 11 electrons and 11 protons. So total charge of this gets cancelled with the charge of protons. That is why atom always exhibits the neutral in its nature. Electrically it is neutral. Unless you remove the electron or you add the electron, it is always neutral in stage. So we can consider that the charge is the fundamental property. The most important is charge is the fundamental property. So what is meant by fundamental? So it is the any object or any matter, any particle, it has its unique property. Say for example, some materials are metals, some are non-metals, some type of substances are what is that brittle, whereas other type of substances are ductile. Some substances are crystalline and some are amorphous. So some are bad conductors, very good conductors of heat. the insulators. See, these are all decided by the charge only. The way in which the electrons aligned in the atom decide the property of that substance. That is why we call the charge is the fundamental property. So for any substance, the property or the physical and chemical properties of the substances are function of the electronic configuration of the substance. That is why we can consider that the charge is the fundamental property for any matter. And moreover, the charge can exist only with mass. If there is no mass, the charge cannot exist. That is why isolated charge, the charge alone cannot exist in the universe. Always it is with the substance or matter. So this is the fundamental nature. It possesses the fundamental nature. Charge is, and charge is invariant. Charge is invariant. Invariant. That means even if a charge, say for example, positive charge you consider, even it is moving, then there will not be any change in its charge. There will not be any change in its charge. So if it is at rest in a static condition or if it is in a dynamic condition, the charge remains same. Whether the charge is in motion or whether it is at rest, but charge remains same. It is invariant. Charge not depend on its velocity or its motion. That is what is called charge is invariant. See, the deficiency or excess of electrons will lead the or cause for a charge formed on the body. So deficiency or excess of electrons. The deficiency or excess of electrons leads to the charge on the body. Suppose you have a body, say this is one rod. If it is losing one electron, it lost one electron, then it is positively charged. If there is one object which gains electrons, then it is negatively charged. So if any body lost the electron, it gains positive charge. If any body or any particle which gains electron can be considered as negatively charged. So for the charge, the main particle is electron. By losing the electron or by gaining the electron, it gets the charge. Say for example, we have sodium. When it is in neutral, it has 11 electrons and 11 protons. When it loses one electron, then the number of electrons are 10 and protons are 11. So there is a deficiency of an electron. So it loses its neutral property and it becomes Na plus. So it is positively charged ion. Similarly, for chlorine, it has atomic number 17. For chlorine, its atomic number is 17. It has 17 electrons, 17 protons, and this is neutral. And by chance, if it gains one electron, then what happens? Electrons are 18, protons are 17. So there is excess of electron. This leads to the negative charge. This leads to the negative charge. So this is how the deficiency or excess of electron will lead the charge on the body or on the particle. Now the charges are of two types. Charges are of two types. One is positive charge, and another one is negative charge. See, the positive charge denoted with plus and the negative charge denoted with minus. So the deficiency of electron leads to positive charge, excess of electron leads to negative charge. Next, charge always lies outside the surface of the body. Say for example, charge lies outside the surface. Say for example, you take one sphere, the charge will display outside the surface like this. So there is no possibility of existing the charge inside. So inside is not possible. This is not possible. Always exists outside. Say for example, you take this cup. Suppose if I charge inside, then it comes outside only. The charge will come this part only. Come to this part only, outside. Always, even if I charge this cup inside, then the charge will come outside. So the charge always lies outside, whether it is a solid sphere or a hollow sphere, but the charge density remains equal. So if it is a solid, maybe solid, this is hollow. In both cases, the charge comes outside the surface and it has the same quantity of charge. And next, see, the charge distribution is depend on the shape of the curvature. Suppose let us consider one shape like this. See, the radius of curvature is more here. The curvature is more, and this is almost all straight, and the curvature here it is less. If you imagine this type of object, then the charge density distribution here will be like this, and this will be very close. See, what you understand from this? This curvature is more, so charge density is less. The curvature of the surface is very less. Here the charge density is more. If the object is very sharp like this, and the charge will concentrate more here, and there is a possibility of the discharging of charge fast. So discharge is more fast if any body is having sharp edges. So the sharp edge will lose the charge very fast, and the charge at that sharp edge contains more density. That is why the sharp edged parts, they lose charge very fast. Next, law of conservation of charge. Law of conservation of charge. Of charge. Like law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of energy. The charge will also obey the law of conservation of charge. Law of conservation. What does it mean? Charge neither be created nor be destroyed, but the total charge on the system is always constant. So suppose if you have a glass rod, if it is rubbed with some silk cloth, and this is glass rod, then what happens? The glass rod positively charged with some 4 positive charges. At the same time, there forms 4 electrons. So this glass rod lost 4 electrons. The same time, silk cloth received 4 electrons. So the only thing is the charge transferred from one body to another body. But you cannot make these 5 electrons. You cannot make this because you cannot create the charge. You cannot destroy the charge. The only thing is you can just transfer the charge from one body to another body. So this law of conservation of charge holds good in all reactions such as atomic reactions, nuclear reactions, chemical reactions. In all these cases, it obeys law of conservation of charge. So it is not possible to create more charges. Whatever the charge that exists in the universe, only we can just utilize it. We don't have any facility to create the charge. The already mass is created. So once the mass is created, the charge is also created. So we cannot create mass, we cannot destroy the mass. The only thing is we just can transfer from one form to another form. Similarly, energy in the total system cannot be changed. Either the energy can be transferred from one form to another form. You cannot destroy, you cannot create. So this is how the charge will also obey the law of conservation. That is why it is called law of conservation of charge. So charge is conserved. And now let us discuss the quantization of charge. Quantization of charge. Quantization of charge. What do you mean by quantization of charge? The charge can be transferred from one body to another body with the integral multiples of charge of one electron. See, suppose if some student asked to count the number of students present in classroom, is it possible to say that there are students 33.75? 33 is possible, but 0.75 candidate is not possible. Similarly, even in the case of charge, either one electron or 2 electrons or 3 electrons transferred from one body to another body. But 2.5 electrons, 2 and 3 by 4 electron is not possible to transfer from one body to another body. That is why the charge transfers from one body to another body, from one particle to another particle, that Q is equal to plus or minus the number of the charge of each electron. So where n is integral multiples of charge of electron. So the charge transfers only with the charge of multiples of charge of electron, integral multiples of charge of electron. Say for example, we can write down charge of electron is 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19 coulombs. And suppose you want to find the number of electrons that required in 1 coulomb of charge. So the number of electrons required in 1 coulomb of charge by the charge of electron 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19. This equal to 6.25 into 10 power of 18 electrons. So this 6.25 into 6.25 into 10 power of 18 electrons contribute the 1 Coulomb charge. So 1 Coulomb charge, to form 1 Coulomb charge, how many electrons are required? 6.25 into 10 power of 18 electrons will contribute 1 Coulomb charge. Suppose this body has 2 coulombs. Suppose somebody told 2 coulombs means how many electrons are there? So if a body has 2 coulombs of charge, then the number of electrons is equal to 2 into the equivalent number of electrons for 1 coulomb. 6.25 into 10 power of 18. This is the number of electrons required in 2 coulombs of charge. So once you know the amount of charge, you can find the number of electrons that are required to contribute that charge. So this is all regarding quantization of charge. So charge is quantized. Suppose if the charge is in motion, say the charge is in motion, it is moving with certain velocity, v is of course 0. If this charge is not moving at rest, it gives only electric field. It gives electric field. So I represent this as E. It gives electric field. If the charge is moving with constant velocity, if it is moving with constant velocity, it gives both electric and magnetic field. It gives both electric as well as magnetic field. This is the way in which we can, but the quantity of charge will not change. And there is another case, so it is going constant velocity means there is no acceleration. So the acceleration is 0 in this case. And the third case is, if it is velocity is not constant, then it may produce electric field, produce magnetic field, and also radiates energy. So this is the another property of the charge. If the charge is at rest, it can give electric field. If the charge is moving with constant velocity, it gives both electric and magnetic fields. If the charge is not moving with constant, it is moving but not constant velocity, that means it may be accelerate or it may be retards. So the accelerated or retarded charged particle gives electric field, magnetic field, and also it radiates the energy. Now the charge is a scalar. Charge is a scalar. That means you can just add this charge just like real numbers. So if say some charge Q1 is equal to plus 5 coulombs and there is another charge Q2 is equal to minus 2 coulombs and Q3 is equal to 1 coulomb plus 1 coulomb, then what you have to do, just you add it as a real numbers. So the net charge is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, that is equal to plus 5 plus minus 2 plus 1, that is equal to 5 minus 2, 3, 3 plus 1, 4 coulombs. So this is the net charge. So charge is a scalar quantity and charge is a derived physical quantity. Charge is derived physical quantity. Charge is derived physical quantity. So what does it mean by derived physical quantity? Means it is expressed in terms of fundamental quantities. So charge can be expressed as the dimensional formula of I and the dimensional formula of T. So this can be written as the dimensional formula of the charge can be written as A1 T1. So this is the dimensional formula of charge. So the units of charge. Now let us see the units of charge. So the SI unit is Coulomb represented with C. And 1 Coulomb is equal to how many electrons you require? 6.25 into 10 power of 18 electrons. One charge of 1 electron is 1.6 into 10 power of minus 19 coulombs. So the CGS unit of charge is electrostatic unit ESU is equal to 1 by 3 into 10 power 9 coulombs. Our electromagnetic unit EMU is equal to 10 coulombs. So 1 coulomb can be written as 3 into 10 power of 9 stat coulomb. And 1 coulomb also can be written as in CGS unit 1 by 10 ab coulomb. These are all the units of the charge in different systems. Now let us see the most important part of this electrostatics is Coulomb's law. So this, according to this Coulomb's law, the force between the two charges, force between two like charges is repulsive, force between two unlike charges is attractive. Take for example, if there are two charges like this, these two charges will repel each other. So this is positive charge, this is also positive charge, these two will repel each other. And suppose there are two unlike charges and these two will attract. So the attraction will take place, the mutual attraction. There is a mutual attraction and there is a mutual repulsion. Even both are negative charges, they also repel each other. So if this is Q1 and this is Q2. So what happened here? The two charges, if they are unlike positive charges, they can repel each other. Like charges, they are like charges, they repel each other. If the unlike charges, they attract each other. If there are two negative charges, also repel each other. So the force with which these charges are repelled or attracted in all these cases is explained by the Coulomb's law. This Coulomb's law is also called Coulomb's inverse square law in electricity. There is a Coulomb's inverse square law in magnetism. That is why we specifically we have to mention whether the Coulomb's law in Inverse square law is in electricity or magnetism. So according to Coulomb's law, you consider there are two charges Q1 and there is another charge Q2. These two charges are positive charges. And then what happened? These two are separated by a distance of r. And the medium between these two charges is air. Air is medium. Distance between the two charges is r. The two charges are Q1 and Q2. So the repulsive force come into play between these two charges. This repulsive force acts along the line joining the two charges. So in which direction it acts? Along the line joining the two charges. So the force is force of either attraction or repulsion. So in this case it is repulsive force. Force of repulsion is directly proportional to the product of the two charges. This is equation 1. The repulsive force or attractive force is directly proportional to the product of the two charges. And the next one is F is inversely proportional to square of the distance between the two charges. So F is inversely proportional to square of the distance between the two charges. This is the second law. If you combine these two, F is proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. But if you remove this proportional and if you write some constant K, that is Q1 Q2 by R square. This proportional constant is also called dielectric constant in the medium. This proportional constant has a value K in SI system. In SI, K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into K value is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This value is equal to 9 into 10 power of 9 into 10 power of 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Because see 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to Newton meter square by Coulomb square. But here epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. Permittivity of free space is how much? 8.85 into 10 power of minus 12. So just you take this epsilon naught here. Then Coulomb square by Newton meter square. Coulomb square by Newton meter square. That is the unit of epsilon naught. Or farad per meter. There is also another unit for this. Farad per meter. Farad per meter is also another unit for the permittivity. What is epsilon naught? Permittivity. So finally, we can write down this equation as repulsive force or attractive force between two charges is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square. This is the force, and this force is a vector which acts in the direction of the R line joining between the two charges. Now let us represent this force in terms of vector quantity. Now let us see the vector form of force. If these are the two charges Q1 and Q2, which are having position vectors R1 and R2 with reference to some reference point origin, and the distance between these two R bar is equal to R2 bar minus R1 bar, and so the force can be expressed, force 1 2 is equal to K into Q1 Q2 by R cube into R12 bar, or this can also be written as K into Q1 Q2 by R square into R cap. So this is the vector form of the force. Now let us solve some problems based on this Coulomb's law. Now let us observe this problem. What is the magnitude of force of repulsion between two spheres 1 meter apart if each has a charge of 1 into 10 power of minus 12 coulombs? So very simple problem. So the data given, what is the data given? So Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to 1 into 10 power of minus 12 coulombs. And the distance between the two charges is 1 meter. So what is the formula required here? The formula required is F equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square. Now let us substitute the values in this formula. So F equal to, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 power 9 SI units into Q1 Q2 each one 1 into 10 power of minus 12 whole square, because Q1 and Q2 are equal, by R square, 1 meter square, 1 meter square. So you will be getting, after simplification, this is 9 into 10 power of minus 15. So 9 into 10 power of minus 15 newtons. This is the force between the two charges. So in this problem, see, the force between two positive charges is 5 into 10 power of minus 5 Newton. Calculate the force in the following cases. The first case is, the distance between the charges is doubled. Charges remain same. So what you have to do is, there are two charges. The first case A, there are two charges Q1 and Q2. Initially these two are separated at a distance. Under this condition, force is given, I write here, that is F1 is given 5 into 10 power of minus 5 newtons. This is the force given. Now what they have done, the distance is doubled. The distance is doubled. So I write here the force in this case is you have to determine. But the charges remain same, no change. The charges become change. So I write here Q1 and Q2, no change. Then what you have to do, we know force is inversely proportional to R square. So F2 by F1 is equal to R1 by R2 whole square. So I just write here this case. We are going to find F2 is equal to F1 into R1 by R2. So R2 is doubled. So I write here R1 by 2R1 whole square. So F2 is equal to, F1 is already given, 5 into 10 power of minus 5 Newton into R1 cancelled 1 by 2 whole square. So this comes how much? 2.5 into 1.2 into 4. This is 2 to the 4. So this comes around 1.2 into 10 power of minus 5 newtons. This is the answer. The first case. If the distance is doubled, naturally force will decrease. In the second situation, next B. Now let us see the second situation. Charge on one is tripled and the other is halved. This is the second situation. And the distance remains same. So distance remains same. Right here, this is Q1. There is no change in its distance, Q2. But in the second case, I write here this is Q1 dash is equal to, the one is tripled, 3Q1. And this one is halved, Q2 is equal to 1 by 2 of, I write Q2 dash, Q2. So this is the condition given. Distance not changed. But here it is given F1 is equal to 5 into 10 power of minus 5 Newton. Now you have to find in this case is how much. So as you know, F is proportional to Q1, Q2. This is the formula. F is proportional to Q1, Q2. So I write here F2 by F1 is equal to Q1 dash by Q1 into Q2 dash by Q2 is the formula. So now let us substitute the values here. I write here then what happened now? F2 is equal to F1 into Q1 dash. Q1 dash become 3Q1. 3Q1 by Q1 into Q2 dash. Q2 by 2. Q2 by 2 by Q1 by Q2 by 2 by Q2. Then what happened now? This become F2 is equal to, F1 is given 5 into 10 power of minus 5 into Q1 cancelled. So I write here 3 by 1 into Q2 cancelled become 1 by 2. So its value is 7.5 into 10 power of minus 5 newtons is the value of this problem. So now let us see the third case. Both of A, B occur simultaneously. Then let us see what happened if both are happened. So in the third case, case A and case B happened. In case A, what happened? The distance is doubled. In case A, distance is doubled. In case B, This is happened, case B. One charge tripled, Q dash equal to Q1 dash is equal to 3Q1, Q2 dash equal to Q2 by 2. So here what happened, R2 become doubled, 2R1. Now you know the formula that F is proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. So F2 by F1 is equal to Q1 dash by Q1 into Q2 dash by Q2 into next distances, inverse, reverse, R1 by R2 whole square. So now let us write F2 is equal to F1 into Q1 dash by Q1. Q1 dash is how much? 3Q1 by Q1. So I write here directly 3 by 1 into. This is 1 by 2 into R1 by R2. R1 by R2. So R1 by R2 is how much? 1 by 2. 1 by 2 whole square. So we know F2 is equal to 5 into 10 power of minus 5 into 3 into 1 by 2 into 1 by 4. So F2 become how much? In this case, 1.9 into 10 power of minus 5 newtons. This is the third case. So this is how we have to solve problems. And let us go to another type of problem. Now let us see, in this problem, there are 4 identical charges placed at the 4 corners of the square of side A. What is the net force on any charge due to the other 3 charges? So this is the problem given. Now let us see the solution for this. See, it's given, a square is given, a square of side A. This is side A. This is side A. This is side A. This is side A. And the identical charges are placed at the 4 corners of this square. I write here, this is corner 1, this is corner 2, this is corner 3. I write here, this is corner 1, this is 2, and this is 4. Now, what you have to do is, the force at any one charge due to the other 3. You have to determine the force on any charge. I consider force on 2 due to 1, 4 and 3. So let us find the force at this point. So for this what you have to do? Force due to 3 on 2 in this direction, because these 2 are like charges, this will act in the upward direction. So force will act in this direction. So I write here, this is force due to 2 and 3, or I write here 3 and 2. And there is another force acting in this direction. So I write here, this is force due to 1 and 2. Then what is the resultant force here? According to the parallelogram law. So I write force due to 3 and 2 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square, because q into q square by a square. What is the force due to 1 and 2? 4 due to 1 and 2. 4 due to 1 and 2 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square. Both are same, identical forces. They are acting at this point. So these two are separated by an angle of 90 degrees. Then what is the resultant of these two forces? The resultant of these two forces is F resultant is equal to under root F 32 whole square plus F 12 whole square. So these two are identical. So I write here root 2 times any of this force. Any of this force is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square. So this force is known. I write here Fr. I write here this is Fr. So what is Fr? Fr is root 2 times 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught a square. And now there is another charge at 4 will also act in this direction. So this force will be also there in this direction, repulsive force. So for this, what you have to do? We have to find the force due to 4 and 2. Force due to 4 and 2 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by, what is this distance? This distance is root 2 times a. So I write here root 2a whole square, r square in place of r square. So you will be getting this one as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by 2 into a square. So this is the another force acting here. So you find this, I write here this is 4 2 and this is I write here F 4 2. So what is the total force now? Total force is equal to this one plus this one. So Fr plus, Fr is how much? Root 2 times 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square plus this one. How much this one? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by 2a square. So these two vectors, one is due to these two resultant and the other one is force. So these two are acting in this direction. So total force is equal to, I take common factor 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q square by a square into root 2 plus 1 by 2. So this is the total force on any charge due to other three charges. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. See, in solving the problems, the A will be given. Say for example, A is given 1 meter. Suppose Q is given 1 coulomb. Then what will be the value of this? F total is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 power of 9 into Q square 1 square by A square 1 square into root 2 plus half. So what will be Ft now? This is equal to. So now what happened? So the Ft is equal to 9 into 10 power of 9 into 1 square by 1 square 1 into root 2 is 1.41 into plus 0.50. So this comes 9 into 10 power of 9 into how much? 1.91. So this is equal to, now let us see now this become almost all 17.19 into 10 power of 9 newtons. So this is one example. Any value may be given. So in this case, in the previous case we have considered a square of side A and the charge placed at each corner, identical charges. So instead of taking a square, suppose if an equilateral triangle is taken. Suppose this is the equilateral triangle of side A, the equilateral triangle of side A, and the identical charges are placed at our first corner, and this is the right here corner 1, and this is corner 2, and this is corner 3. The identical charges are placed. Then what will be the net force at 3 due to 1 and 2, or at any corner due to other 2? So in this problem, instead of square, we have to take the triangle. So force due to this one, they are all plus. Force due to this one acts in this direction, and force due to this will act in this direction. So this angle is 60 degrees, and this is equilateral triangle, every angle is 60 degrees. So this will be 60 degrees. So what is the force due to these two? Force due to 1 and 3. Force due to 1 and 3. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square. And I will write simply, this is force 1. I write here, this is for our convenience, I write here F1. I write here, this is F1. And this is F2. F2 is equal to this one, this force, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by a square. These two forces are identical. Now what you have to do? We have to construct a parallelogram such that these two, we have to construct a parallelogram like this. So we have to draw the diagonal drawn from this point. So this gives the resultant of these two vectors. So the resultant of this is, I write here, this is resultant F. So F is equal to under root F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos theta. This is the formula for the resultant force acting at this point. Since F1 and F2 are equal, F1 is equal to F2. So I write here force is equal to under root, this I write 2F square or 2F1 square. This I write here 2F1 square into what is here, theta is 60 degrees. Angle between two vectors F1 and F2 is 60 degrees. So into cos 60, that is half. I write here cos 60 degrees. So you will be getting under root 2F square, 2F square, 2F1 square, you take as common factor 1 plus, I write here one more step, 2F1 square plus 2F1 square into 1 by 2. So this comes 2 cancelled. So 2F1 square plus F1 square is under root 3F1 square. That is equal to root 3 F1. But what is F1? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q square by A square. So finally the force is equal to 1 by root 3 times 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q square by A square. This is the net force due to any two on the third vertex. This is how we can solve the problems based on the electric charges and fields on Coulomb's law.